Are you serious? The woman in the video was beaten to death after it cuts off. That is actually so heartbreaking to hear. Are you serious? Sorry.
The death of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini, who died after being arrested by Iran's morality police.
This uprising, led by young women, is now nationwide, even global.
Assalamu alaikum. As you may have already heard, protesters have been gathering in Iran following the killing of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini by the hands of Iran's morality police. So today, us Muslim women are gathered here with Muslim to talk about what's going on in Iran at the moment.
Protesters erupt after killing a 22-year-old Mahsa Amini by Iran's morality police for not wearing hijab correctly.
How do you not wear hijab correctly? I didn't know there was a rule book for that, but whatever.
I just think the headline is so ironic of the morality police. It's interesting because our very own Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who we are supposed to see as our role model, treated women with such gentleness and kindness, and we're over here beating them to death. It's so wrong on so many levels, and it's so anti-Islam, and it's just disappointing.
I think it just makes people resent Islam more, and just for Muslims, but then on the non-Muslim end, unfortunately people will see that and take it to the extreme and be like, okay, that's what Islam is.
This is why the media sees us in the light that they do, because people like this aren't making a good name for ourselves.
As Muslim women, we should not be put in these boxes of you either have to take your hijab off or you have to keep it on.
There shouldn't be a law to dictate on what anybody should wear, men or women.
I think that it should be up to you whether you want to wear the hijab or not.
Yeah, it's conflicting because I never thought that I would be in a position where I would have to fight for someone not to be able to wear hijab, but it doesn't feel like it's going against my morals. It still feels right. Women in Iran are fighting for their right not to wear the hijab. Women in India are fighting for their right to wear the hijab. Bottom line, wear or don't wear, stop suppressing women. Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. Stop suppressing women. I don't get why people are so bothered by hijab.
It's become such a huge thing that has led to protests, led to laws, led to everything, and it doesn't make any sense over something as simple as just a woman choosing to wear what she wants to wear.
You know, reform needs to be made in one way or the other. Even though in India they're fighting to wear the hijab and in Iran it's the opposite. In both cases, it's women getting together to have their voices heard.
All right. This says, she should really have stuck with the new normal, but all the same, my heart goes out to her family. What does he mean by that? The new normal? Like, should she have just, like, worn it like she was supposed to and maybe this wouldn't have happened?
I don't like this tweet because it's really downplaying what happened and saying it's her fault.
It's giving victim blaming, and it takes us away from the larger issue.
He says MD and PhD. You would think with this amount of degrees that you would have some brain cells.
I don't think it's something that we should just let slide. I think it's something we should fight for. You know, whether you live in that country or not.
Just follow the rules, just do what they say, and, you know, you'll be fine. But, like, that's how oppressive regimes stay in power, when no one does anything and no one says anything and everyone's just going with the flow and everyone's just following along and doing whatever when they know in their hearts that this is not right.
Your last statement, but all the same, my heart goes out to their family. It's like thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers goes out. Like, it's not sincere. +4 to Android. Red flag.
Taking off the hijab is a form of protest? Really? Because it doesn't seem like a protest to me. It seems like internalized Islamophobia. What happened to that woman was horrible, and the current regime in Iran is corrupt. Taking off your hijab as a form of protest is a huge middle finger to the women who do wear the hijab. For a lot of women across the globe, they cannot wear the hijab. Their government doesn't allow them to do so. When hijabi sees videos like this, how do you think they feel? Taking off the hijab has never been a valid form of protest. You're saying you don't care what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. That government's not going to care what you put on your head or what you do with your hair. To these women saying that taking off the hijab is a form of freedom, freedom from what? Freedom from not following your religion? Freedom to disrespect Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Freedom to go back to colonialism? If these people wanted to protest the government, they would protest in a way that wouldn't be disrespectful towards other Muslims. At the end of the day, stuff like this doesn't accomplish anything. All this does is give more ammunition to people that are truly Islamophobic.
As soon as a man started speaking, I knew it wasn't going to go well. Obviously, people in other countries are protesting for their right to wear the hijab, and these people are protesting for their right to choose. It's not about not wanting to wear the hijab.
There are certain aspects of this video that I agree with. It is further ammunition for those that already are Islamophobic. You know, in some aspects, this is a form of, you know, Western influence. And I do think that, you know, even cutting your hair is sending a message. But when it comes to burning the hijab, I think it isn't sending the right message.
As a man who does not wear hijab, how are you saying that what other women are doing is disrespectful to other women? Bro, you don't even fit in this equation at all.
Saying it's a middle finger to hijabi women. I'm a hijabi woman. It's not offensive to me. And he said the government's not going to care what you put on your hair and what you do. They clearly care. You missed the point completely. They care.
There is no compulsion in Islam. So if I see that there are women being forced to wear the hijab and they're taking it off on protest, power to them.
Also, I feel like there's a right and a wrong way to guide people or to give advice on Islam. And I personally feel that the right way is in a discreet way, or sometimes not at all. If you really care about the well-being of someone and of how they're going to practice their deen, then you should just pray for them. You should pray for them silently and not tell anyone about it, and just like wish the best for them. But you shouldn't try and publicly embarrass them or be rude to them or degrade them, because that's not going to make them want to do better. That's just going to make them dislike you, and it's going to put a negative connotation on the religion.
It's like, for example, let's say you have like a group of Islamophobes. They're like, we hate Islam. We're going to burn the Quran. We're going to burn hijabs because we hate Muslims so much. I feel like because the intention behind that is to be intentionally disrespectful to Islam, then I think that's where I would say the burning is unacceptable. But if we have Muslim women that are burning hijabs in protest to, you know, their right to being able to wear what they want to wear, I don't think it's disrespectful.
In this context, I feel like what they're doing, we can't say whether or not it's disrespectful to Islam, because we are not the ones who are fighting for our rights. We're not fighting for what they're fighting for.
In protest, it's not necessarily that they're saying like, oh, we hate Islam. They're saying that we hate this regime that we live under that is forcing me to wear that.
It's upsetting to see that so many women are using the burning of the hijab as a way to protest and a way to show freedom. I definitely do understand their anger, but the symbolism of the resistance and the burning of the hijab, you see, I think it's definitely a very sensitive topic.
I love her. I don't even know who she is. I don't know her name, but I love her. It takes, first of all, it takes such courage to stand up to such a regime like this.
I mean, I'm proud of her for taking that step.
I actually saw this on TikTok, and when I first initially saw it, I was like, whoa, you know, because it's so impressive that she's able to like stand up to police officers like that, and that she's not standing down, you know, she's holding her ground, and she's like, no, I'm here to fight, I'm here to speak up.
There you go. Are you serious? The woman in the video was beaten to death after it cuts off. That is actually so heartbreaking to hear. Are you serious? Sorry. It sucks that people are literally dying, begging for just basic dignity, literally begging for their right, their God-given right to live on this earth how they want to. Like being over here, you feel like you feel helpless, like you feel like there's nothing that you can do, and it sucks because you want to help and you know in your heart that this is wrong, but sometimes you're literally just like what can I do? You know what I mean? Like there are certain things that are just so beyond us and bigger than us, and I feel like these protests are literally, they're just the beginning. Like we really are privileged, especially in this country, that like we don't have to go through this. Like we don't have anyone on our backs constantly telling us what we can wear and hanging death over us if we don't follow the rules. It's okay.
Give you a hug, but I also didn't want to ruin anything. Are you okay?
I'm good, thank you.
Hi. Hi, my name is P, and I'm really happy to be here with you. I'm an Iranian student working in the academic field, and I'm here to talk with Muslim about the situation in Iran and the protests that are going on about compulsory hijab. So the morality laws that are being protested right now, they are part of a bigger picture that they were installed after the 1979 revolution. Hijab became compulsory for all women in all public spaces in Iran. At that time, it was protested by people and also by a lot of religious figures. So the morality law is something that is mostly decided by the president. So for a lot of people, it was clear from day one that a hijab should not be imposed on people, like any sort of Islamic ruling in terms of lifestyle should not be imposed on people. But I would say that large portions of the population started to realize that over time. But later we saw a lot of people from religious communities that they started thinking that this is our issue too. We do not want our identity to be forced on somebody else. We want hijab to be free, and we want it to be something that everybody chooses on their own. And there's a lot of accumulated pain that has been woken up by the tragic death of Mahsa Amini. So when you see these events, there are people who are tired of so many different things. Some of them are tired of the use of religion in a political system. Some people are tired of governing of the country. So there are a lot that are being associated with the death of Mahsa, and a lot of them are understandable. So there are also many different reasons why Iranian Muslim women outside the country are not speaking out as much. First of all, there is a lot of conservatorship. So a lot of us in these communities are conservative. A lot of people in diaspora are left to choose between either you are with us or against us. So either you are after toppling the government in Iran, or you are against us. There is no middle ground. So this is being imposed in a lot of places that, considering the situation of Iranian diaspora, that they have their families inside of Iran that might have their own concerns. Maybe it's not their choice to actually say things out loud because they don't find it to be constructive. They don't find it to be liberating to speak out at this time when there are these larger, more powerful voices that are coming out, and they would just get smashed in the whole uproar. The suppression of media inside of Iran, there is the suppression of political activists in Iran. Right now, as we are speaking, there is a mass arrest of university students, reporters, activists, even artists that is going on in Iran. People have not been able to actually speak their true protests inside of Iran, but I can say that the bottom line is that people do not want a lifestyle to be imposed on them, and at the same time, they want the country to be governed more rationally. The meaning of this burning of hijab could be very different depending on who you are, and it does not have an absolute meaning. Like, it's not like as if people are burning the scarves, it's that they are trying to be disrespectful to Islam or people who are believing in hijab. It's just that we have been unfortunate, and unfortunately the government has not listened to all those people. This form of hijab burning in Iran has to do with just an opposition to that forced lifestyle. When you talk to people who are going to protest, and even when you see more independent media sources, you will see that these people are saying that we are taking off this hijab just because we want to protest this forced lifestyle on women specifically, and also on men, but more specifically on women. I would say that the burning of hijab, even though I personally do not approve of it, like I would not join such a protest, but I do understand that it symbolizes a protest against a forced lifestyle. It does not symbolize a protest against Islam. I just want everyone to know that the latest opinion polls in Iran show that more than 70% of the people in Iran are against compulsory hijab. I just hope that everything we have learned and we work together in different parts of the world to support human rights and support freedom for different groups of people with respecting different ideas, and actually fight for the freedom of all different rights of people who are not trying to hurt anyone and they're just trying to live their own life. And I hope that this protest can bring up that sort of conversation also inside of Iran. But inside of Iran, I see a lot of hijabi women and non-hijabi women that in the streets are holding hands together. And I hope the beauties of this kind of solidarity that is happening within the country can also be celebrated.